Joining me now is Brianna Fox, former FBI special agent and co-director of the Center for Justice Research and Policy. Brianna, welcome. So look, we've been learning over the past few days who Luigi Mangione is. Based on what we know so far, is there a profile on Mangione that explains what may have led him to brazenly shooting CEO Brian Thompson on a Manhattan sidewalk?
Yeah, I thank you for having me. I think that it's been pretty clear now for the past week or so that this was an act of vigilantism. He was very uncomfortable with the system. I mean, as a whole, it expands beyond a healthcare system because he thought that there was no way that he could reasonably address this through societal or political or other means. Whether or not that perception is correct, right, is a different matter. I would argue that he should have obviously pursued all of that, and certainly violence is never acceptable. But it seems like he had this almost Robin Hood type mentality.
And we've heard about the veteran defense attorney, Karen Friedman Agnifilo, who is his attorney now. Before she took the case, we heard that she went on television there talking about the possibility of an insanity offense for Mangione. Does that surprise you? Does that seem like a good path to head down to try to, I guess, do whatever she needs to do for his defense?
As she said in her prior interview, that is quite a risky approach. Insanity works rarely. Such a small fraction of cases ever work out. I would say if she was going to argue something, a diminished capacity defense, where she's saying that her client had some capacity to have control over his actions. However, this was obviously diminished by, let's say, something else going on in his life. Additionally, I would say that if she was going to argue an insanity defense, there would be some reason why she would believe this. We haven't obviously spoken to Mr. Mangione, so we wouldn't know. But if she was feeling like at the moment that he committed these crimes, he didn't have the capacity to reason, if he didn't have control over his actions, if he didn't understand the implications, I think that's an extremely high bar, especially given the amount of premeditation that we saw just in terms of planning these crimes out, regardless of who committed it. But I would say she could be hoping that despite the evidence, there's, let's say, a sympathetic jury.
To that end, we have seen an overwhelming amount of support for Mangione, particularly with donations to his legal fund. In fact, on Friday, the website Give, Send, Go raised over $75,000. That amount stands right now at more than $100K. But then there's popular crowdfunding website, which is removing any campaigns in support of Mangione, and they're actually refunding donors who contributed to any related campaigns. What are all your thoughts on this as a criminologist? What kind of message is it sending?
Yeah, I mean, we saw there were other assassination attempts just this year alone, and it certainly didn't raise this level of, sympathy, support, public, outpouring of even money. I think that this also is a very dangerous precedent because we don't want to suggest to people that violent means are a way that you can enact change. There certainly is so many better ways, and this is not one of them. But people are feeling like this is striking a chord just in terms of the messaging. So I think that they're trying, and whoever was attempting to do this, I think, was sending the message that this is something that they really think needs to change. But I think the manner of which they're doing it, certainly by violent means, is not acceptable.
Okay, Brianna Fox, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate that.